All right, good afternoon. Just really encouraged by our first 3 days. I think our guys have really been working hard and love our meetings, just attention to detail, the walkthroughs. Got some strong leadership, which is a big part of that, and getting our new faces to buy into our process that we go through here in fall camp. And then with our new schedule of having 3 days on, and then now have a regeneration day where they're getting a lot of recovery meetings, getting good film, even some walkthrough time. Very important part of the process. So then come back tomorrow and be back in shoulder pads for the next couple of days, and then be full pads for practice number 6. So good start. Guys are working hard. I like the energy, love the effort, and just got to keep a little bit better every day. Questions?
Dustin and Matt.
Tom, as you mentioned, obviously you guys aren't in full pads yet, so I know you can only judge so much here. But just what's impressed you so far about the running back room? Basically, what do you just and each of those individual guys that are competing for that starting job? What do you like about what you're seeing from each of them at this point?
Yeah, I would just go through. You got the thing that sticks out to me is the speed. So got some new guys that both with Sean Shivers and Jalen Lucas, two of our fastest players on the team, and David Holloman still, he's in that top 3 as well for speeds overall for our whole team. So I think that's what jumps out to me. Josh Henderson just so solid in so many areas, and I think that as they continue to get more comfortable, and I think just ball skills as well for all those guys, which is critical. And then Trent's big back, 235 plus pounds, and Charlie Spiegel, same thing, big back. Just got a lot of different options there in that room, all different kind of skill sets and ways to get those guys to football. But we got to run the football, and that's where we, obviously only one day in pads, which was yesterday. Can't tell a lot, but you can tell some. I thought our inside run period was very, very physical, which I want, and that's what it's supposed to be like. And both sides of the ball sharpening each other and just getting that ball downhill, and running it effectively. So just they're got several guys in there. They're all competing. There's obviously you play one back at a time usually. Sometimes you can have 2, but won't have more than that, more than likely ever. So just trying to be able to get that room, where they're able to, understand their assignments, execute at a high level, and you got to make a guy miss and go score.
Matt and Sammy.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm okay. One position that has been talked about a ton, tight end. Obviously, you lost a really good one to Peyton Hendershot, but you got A.J. Barner back. I know you guys are high on him. But after A.J., I know you got to play multiple tight ends. It's a position where you can get injuries, a lot of physicality. Who's kind of stepping up? I know there's some young guys, but who's kind of stepping up that position, and who do you want to see kind of step up?
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of young guys. You got a really pretty young room. You have no seniors in there, and AJ is a veteran, and he's doing what he needs to be doing, keep getting better every day. And Aaron Steinfeld's the guy that's been getting a lot of reps, and James Bamba. Those would be the top 2 guys that have really stuck out to be able to be that second and third guy, in the mix there. And I think Brody Foley's another one that's came here in January and hasn't had as many reps. Was coming off a postseason surgery, but it's nothing. He's back 100% ready to go and getting those guys ready. And I think those would be the top 3 guys right now that are getting reps and in the mix. But yeah, it's a critical position for us, and want to be able to maximize it and use it. Want to be able to play with 2 tight ends at times and sometimes more. So, but that's a lot of youth in that room, and those guys are getting their opportunities to learn the offense and to be physical and be effective.
Sammy, the mic.
Good afternoon, Coach. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I wanted to ask you about Noah Pierre. He's a guy who played safety last year, moved to corner out of necessity and injury, and now is at Husky. Can you talk about just his team-first mentality and the skills that, all 3 of those positions he has that brings to that Husky position?
Yeah, he's special to me. I think he's a great testament to perseverance and grit. I know there was a point in time when he was frustrated, and came to see me and came to see his position coach and a couple years ago, and just was, I'd been bounced around a lot of positions, and he's just one of those tough, gritty guys that could do a lot of things. He could play corner, he could play the nickel, he could play safety, which not everybody can do that. So I think that was valuable, and I think he's realizing that now. What he did though was he bought in, like you said, he bought into our culture here, and just the whole idea that, man, it's not about me, and I got to do what I can to help this team be successful. And he through that process established a lot of great skills so that he could play 3 different positions, and got on special teams a lot in the 2020 year, and then this past year, as we've talked about, had a chance to be a starter, and when some guys in front of him went down, and now he's our starting Husky, and just a really, really good player. He's got a lot of toughness to him. He's got a lot of moxie and savvy, and because of his coverage ability, he really allows us to do a lot of things with that position and that personnel package. So that really excites me. But more than anything, matter of fact, we got a young one of our true freshmen that's kind of going through the same. He's been here since January, and you're still trying to find his way. I'm like, hey, we had him meet with Noah and just talk about, hey, tell him your story. Talk to him about your perspective on the ability to persevere, because he was a couple years before he got a chance to get on the field. So I just think it's just a great testament to his character, the way he was raised, his family, his high school coaches, and then just his ability to accept that but not quit working. He wasn't playing as much as he wanted to early on, but now he's become really, really valuable part of our team on special teams and obviously on defense. And so, he's a really, really good player and got an amazing attitude.
Mike and Zach.
Yeah, hey Coach, I wanted to ask you about the drop off in interceptions from 2020 to 2021. I've heard a lot of talk about it being in part due to different types of coverages going from more zone to more man last year. Beyond that, kind of what are you keyed in on now that you're going to be the play caller again on defense to get those numbers back where they were in 2020?
Yeah, I think. Obviously it's been a huge point of emphasis. You stated it. It's pretty obvious. The drop-off was immense. We have 3 components that make up our DNA: takeaways, tackling, and effort on defense. And you notice takeaways are first. And all 3 are very, very important. You better be a great tackling team if you want to be a great defense, and you better play with fanatical effort. So all 3 are very important, but takeaways just change the game. I mean, everybody knows the stats about the turnover margin, which is the offense and defense combined, and as you are able to protect the ball on offense and create takeaways on defense, that's how you win football games. And so always been a huge part of our focus. And I know there's certain years when you get more than others, and I understand that. And some years it's frustrating when you're trying. We've had these discussions even before the 2021 season where we didn't get as many as we maybe got the year before, and there was always questions about it. So I get that dynamic, and been doing this enough to know that that's part of it too. But I also do think, like you said, there's certain emphasis that you have on how you play. I think there's 2 parts to that. It's the aggressiveness and the violence that you play with. I think that creates takeaways, both with causing fumbles and hitting quarterbacks or pressuring a quarterback and making him throw into before he wants to, or when his feet aren't set or whatever. You get him off point and off schedule in his drop and his timing, and you can create those takeaways. And then you disguise your coverages, and then you, like you said, you play with more zone than man, and that can create those opportunities as well, just because you have your eyes on the quarterback more times in zone. Obviously, there's different types of zones. You can play matchup zones, and you can play straight vision zones. And so just the ability to get our eyes on the quarterback more, I think is part of this process. But that's just kind of, every year you kind of mix and match that and change that up a little bit. But yeah, I think those are all variables for sure. But we all see how big they are. I mean, it changes everything. I mean, it takes pressure off your ability for your offense to have to drive 75, 80 yards, which is really hard to do consistently. Statistics show us that, and that's why takeaways are such a big part of the game. So yeah, it's going to be a huge emphasis. It has been. We have our whole accountability structure for practice is based off those takeaways and securing it on offense and taking it away on defense. And so, and if you don't get what you're supposed to get, then you're going to be held accountable for that, as a whole unit, and I'm part of that as well, and all the coaches. So that's definitely an emphasis and a focus. But I think every defense in America, wants to create takeaways. I mean, that's just how you win games for sure. So we got to do everything we can do, and there's a lot of pieces to it, a lot of things that go into it, and how hard you play is part of it as well, and being around the ball. We talk about, the ball finds energy. That's a phrase that we like to use in our program, and I love that. The ball finds energy. When you're around it, you're playing hard, you're playing physical, you're attacking, and you're flying to it, and the ball just sometimes just pops right there, and you're able to make a play. And you think of a couple years ago, we had one of our D linemen get an interception, in a Big Ten game, and down the field pursuing and just being a part of it. The ball got tipped right into his hands. So, ball finds energy, and that's going to be part of it as well.
Zach and Jack.
Tom, I guess asking more broadly about your secondary, I know that a number of those guys have played a lot of football. Some of them were really maybe part of that core group that engaged you very early last offseason, just about kind of, putting 2021 in the past and all that. But how much do you feel like that defense relies on the voices, the experience, and even maybe the on-field leadership of guys like Monster and Bryant, Taiwan, Jalen? I mean, just at some level, without wanting to be cliche, I mean, is that an area that you look to and kind of say, we need you guys to really just be at the center of everything for us on and off the field this year?
Absolutely. I would agree with everything you said in regards to their leadership, their being vocal. You don't walk past a mistake. You don't walk past something laying on the ground that's not supposed to be there. You pick it up. You make sure guys are doing little things like that as well. You hold each other accountable. You're verbal on the field and making checks and adjustments. You make sure everybody's running the football with high level of effort and energy every snap, regardless of how you feel in practice and how tired you might be. And that's the leadership of that group. They've been here a long time. They've played a lot of football. And you're right, they do. And they're not just in making plays, but just also in how we prepare, how we practice, how we watch film, how we study, how we handle ourselves, in the film room when your coaches aren't there and you're doing extra things on your own as a group to get better and prepare and study and all the different things. And then the focus during the walkthrough. So, yeah, it's a huge part. And you think about, we play with 5 DBs. We're a 4-2-5 defense, and that's how we've always been since I've been here. And that means there's going to be 5 guys, and on the field, and those rooms, from the safety room, from the cornerback room, and we have the Huskies with the safeties as far as how they are coached, and so that's a big part of our defense, and those guys need to be able to fly around. And I think Brylan Lanier is a new young man that made some plays here already in a very short time he's been here, and Jamari Sharp's another. Those 2 guys really stuck out to me. I think Watley Neely is another one that's really, we lost him all last year to injury, and he's back now, and it's really kind of just coming into his own. I think Josh Sanguinet looks the best he's looked since he's been here, and those are guys that you haven't mentioned from the previous group there, that in addition to those guys, and just the depth you have to have. So those guys are all got really good length and can run. And so, yeah, it's just, we knew it was a priority, and we made it a priority. We got the younger guys still trying to figure things out and help us as well. So, but yeah, our defensive secondary is one of our strengths, and they need to be leaders, and be productive, need to be the guys that help us get this thing where we want it to be.
Jack, then Andrew.
Hey, Coach. After the first week of fall camp, how has DJ Matthews looked coming off of his injury, and just how big is that to get him back, and is he going to be ready for week 1?
Yeah, he's expected to be ready for week 1, to answer that part of the question. I think probably the best way to say it would be after the first practice, we came back together as a staff. It was the general consensus, like, wow, man, boy, did we sure miss DJ last year, and he didn't get to play very many games. So you kind of forget how good he really was. He didn't practice in the spring, obviously, with coming off that injury. So it's still progression. You go through everything, and more than anything, it's just the load that he is able to handle. But man, he's just a special player. He's got really, really special ball skills. He knows how to get open. He's got a lot of moxie and savvy and toughness to him. So just a really good football player. And it really, really hurt us last year by losing him. And it's great to have him back. So, yeah, we expect him to be ready to go week 1. And he's He's a talented player that has really bought in and has become a leader in that room, and that excites me. He's so locked in meetings. He and I have met a lot, one-on-one this past year for sure, even before that, but just a real strong connection there, and I've got a lot of mutual love and respect for him and the man that he's become.
Andrew, and then Keegan.
Hey, Tom, you've talked about linebackers previously, just the importance of that position group. I know one of those guys is Jared Casey. What have you seen from him since he joined the program? I guess just what does he bring? He's one of those guys that has that Power 5 experience.
Yeah, I tell you what, he had his best practice since he's been here yesterday. So coming off of that, and these are things, I don't sit here and say things I don't say to him, and we talk about, in position rooms and defensive rooms, and he's tremendously athletic. He's our most athletic linebacker that we have on our team, and so he brought that with him when he got here. And I think the areas we've seen really grow in is just his, physical strength in the weight room, and then just playing with that physicality on the field and not using the speed and finesse to be his strength. And so the speed is still a big strength of his. And so I just really been encouraged. He's been here in the spring, which is important, been here all summer. Now into practice number 3 that we had yesterday, first time in pads, just really loved his physicality. And that to me has been a challenge, and that's where he's responded, and just mastering the defense and learning the fits and the reads. But yeah, just really have high expectations for him. That's why we brought him here, is to play and to help us, and he's a guy that we're counting on to be able to do that. We have to have a lot of guys to play on special teams and on defense, and to be able to play with the effort that you play for 60 minutes, like we said before. I think we didn't play enough guys last year, and it really hurt us. Sometimes it was by necessity, but early on I think it was by choice that we needed to address, and so I just think he provides that there, and he's going to play. Our expectation, he's going to play a lot of football this year. So I've been encouraged by him. But to answer completely, I think athleticism, what he brings, and also just got a good football IQ. Some guys have a real knack to get to the ball, and especially how to rush the passer and different things. He seems to have a good knack for that. And so those are the kind of guys you want to get on the field and needs to lead and produce.
All right, Keegan, last one.
Hey, Coach, kind of give us an update on the offensive line. I know that was kind of a position and a group of concern last season. Have you seen an uptick in production of them, and are you maybe more confident in them so far this summer than you were last season?
Yeah, I would say, once again, we've had one practice in pads, so it's really hard to evaluate O-line, D-line play, in spiders. That to me will be an ongoing assessment, but definitely really good first day for that group and the D-line as well, as far as just being physical with each other. And that's, sometimes, you play O-line, D-line, even when you're doing thud tempo or not going full bore live, those guys are pretty much always, once their shoulder pads on, they're pretty much live all the time. So just trying to keep them on their feet. But I think that's a group that what I like is that the older guys, I see improvement from even Matt Bedford, Luke Haggard, guys that play a lot of football here, Michael Cady, those guys have all played a lot of football here. And then we got other guys stepping up. And to me, just Zach, just as our center there and Carpenter, just trying to be able to really truly develop him and elevate his game, and Tim Weaver at guard, and Khalil Benson at guard, and all different guys we're trying to get ready there, and Randy Holtz, and just the whole group that we're trying to get those guys to push each other and develop each other, and we got a new guy coming in with Parker Hannon trying to figure out his role and his niche and on this team. And so to me, the group has to keep getting better all the time. I've been impressed by our younger guys. I think we talked about Carter Smith coming in as a true freshman, and Bray Lynch coming in as a true freshman, and DJ Moore. Those guys have and I do think that there's more depth there than we've had for a while, which is good. And Josh Sale's another guy we're expecting to step up and keep getting better and better and better, and that's important for us. And so I just it's a group that we know has to step up, has to play better. Whole offense has to, but big men lead the way. So if you want to have that phrase, and you better own it, and that's what we talked about meeting number one for our whole team. And the buck stops with each individual person, and them taking ownership, each coach taking ownership of his area of responsibilities, myself. myself taking ownership of the whole operation, everything we do here. So that O-line is going to be huge in our offense, and it needs to be, and I expect them to be. And so we'll be watching and their progress closely. But I do think we're off to a good start, and it's been a focus, physicality, and toughness up front, and just execution and being able to be, doing our jobs at a high level when it counts the most, which is late in drives and late in the fourth quarter. So we'll just see how they keep progressing, but they got to be the leaders of our offense without question.
All right, thanks, Tom.
All right, and have a great day, LEO.